Hello, thank you so much. This is Lisa Lucci Arden here with Our Need to Give to the World, Heal America, Love and God, and Arise to God's Truth. You know, I was just trying to make it funny because I had another terrible experience because, God really laughs at us. We're just a speck and actually made of dust, so anything that's good of us is only of God. But it's funny because I used to do a lot of volunteer for over 20 years with the beautiful ladies, and most of them were older than me. Most of them were all older, and the men. And so we used to do this National Charity League Women's Club, and you always got along with all the women, no matter what. And because being from a family of 16 brothers and sisters, I always waited on my sisters. I was the youngest, and I was always the one over the sink washing all the dishes during the Christmas season and the holiday season. And I would wait on everyone, and that's just my area of work. But it's funny because people get mad when you speak up, or maybe they just have a disagreement. They have different sides, just like the ladies at the National Charity League in Pasadena. Some were different, but we all got along, and we made a magnificent National Charity League, and it's still existing today, where the mothers and daughters come together and bring beauty and volunteer. And so I've experienced today a couple ladies that I could tell they disagreed with me, but I still love them as a person, but I don't love what they're trying to tell me what to do, because it is actually incorrect by fact. And the fact is, I'll tell you the story today. What happened is I went to the Uber, and the man had a vape in his hand, and he wouldn't take the vapor out of his hand. And I says, "Can you put that away?" And then he went roll down the window. I asked, "Can you roll down the window?" "Oh, no, he won't let me roll down the window." Then his car was very dirty. Then he was placid. He was very, very, didn't respond, and it looks like he was in a hospital chair. And so I said, "I can't take it." And so then I ordered the Uber again, and it was the same guy. But the really very serious problem here that we have to consider is that vapor might have crack cocaine in it, number one. It might have marijuana in it, number two. And it could even have other type of drugs, that new drugs they have in Philadelphia now that everyone's smoking, that they put in the drug system, and the people are their whole bodies, they can't even move. Maybe it's that drug, who knows, And I'm trying to be very positive about this, because I know that the rules need to be changed, and there needs to be new regulations, because everybody told you about the powers, the paradigms of power, my chart in a one-page chart. And maybe the ladies across the way that disagree with me here today, maybe they will see that there's the pillar of the beautiful of the technology and the information system that's so high. Then there's a low pillar of law and regulations that should have been using and taken care of to protect our nation. Then there's a beautiful pillar of the globalization of all the beautiful peoples that we've allowed to America to help America in all the different countries and all the different daily existence that we work together as people in humanity to bring justice and life and humanity first. That's what we want. And then there's another pillar of the government that has hardly any light, because they didn't protect our country as they should have, because maybe their hands were tied. Who knows? They were controlled by the people that they pay to get in, the Congress and the House, because remember that they get funds to get back in the Congress and the House, and they're also controlled by some elite billionaires that you don't even know, like Davos. So, and then underneath that, all those pillars is the worst of all the crimes of the nine terrible billionaire elite communists that are criminals. And the lady across the way doesn't know much about them. I don't think she does. It's terrible. It's a very serious thing. They brought that fentanyl in, and I'm sure one of her grandchildren or one of her that she loves, 1 out of every 10 people will be exposed to the drugs or to something that's related to the immigrants that are criminals, and that bring these drugs in, and we need to wipe out all those drugs, and then all the other, and that's ran by the Chinese. That's the biggest elite communist billionaire criminal companies that are in our country, USA, is the Chinese, okay, and they are criminal with drugs. So they also hire middleman, which is very small, the Mexican cartel, which is very small. It's mostly the Chinese. And so I'm sure that lady didn't know this all relates to maybe she didn't know it all relates to the vaping, inside the Uber car. That they might even make that Uber liquid. They might even make that liquid in the vapor. the Chinese company. So this is very serious. Then you have the World WHO, and that lady doesn't maybe even realize that that they might control her to take more shots, of what is it, of the CCP virus. And I'm a specialty in that as a science and philosopher and a special politician that knows a lot about science and economy and how to relate to it and the urgencies. And so that's another thing, is that the WHO is the worst than all, and they control, because they want to bring us down, and also the World Food Control, and also the elite communist billionaires, and also the companies that are not putting the people first. And some of these companies don't realize the contraindications of the globalization and the technology, the evolving of the different substances, such as vaping, such as the different types of drugs that are used, that are used today, that are so severe than there were 20 years ago whenever Uber started, maybe 10 years, 7 years. It has to have a balance. These are called Aristotle categories. When there's an action makes a response and a reaction, but it has contraindications when there's an environment that has changed. And I don't think that lady understands that. She better wake up a little bit. And I really think she tries to say, let's fold. She's already folded because she's not trying to help us together. That's why I believe I had this experience to say this, because I gave the example, there could be a kindergarten kid that's picked up by the Uber every day, 5 days a week, because the mother can't pick him up and the babysitter can't. So there might be a vaping guy there that vape with cigarettes, vaping, or it could be marijuana or drugs, and the child breathes it in and they could get brain damage. It's very, very serious, because it is known that marijuana does cause brain damage. This is very, very serious. So we need to come together and work together. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm just trying to be very happy, because this is giving me a chance to say something about this. Just like I did it with the EMFs. I said years ago, no buds. EMFs, no earbuds, because they cause brain damage, and also the radiation. I talked about that years ago, and they're finally saying it all over. And many, many things. But I've had so much violence, even death, because I talked about these things. I talked about foods. In 2014, I don't think the lady knows that I know this, I wrote a book about electrotherapy and about alternative ways of medicine and foods. And they did try to kill me. Actually, in 2018, 19, I died and came back to life. 3 major car accidents. These are true stories. And I am a politician. They use all my information, even all the way from the tariffs. It's really funny. I'm trying to be as happy as I can, because I know God has a way and a purpose, and they're helping me. They're helping me. All these people are helping me on TikTok. They're helping me on Uber. They're helping me on LinkedIn. They're helping me on Facebook, and helping me to show that they are up to date on these things now. After I've been in the days of Rome, they would take the people like me, and they would take them by the hair, or they would tie their hands together with a rope, and they would drag them around the chariots around the Colosseum, and everyone would say, oh. And that's just about what I've been through all these years. And so I'm so glad I'm alive, but we need to stop these EMFs. We need to stop the radiation control of where they put the radiation components on the towers. We need to make sure that the radiation is, and I know I'm bringing up a subject, but it's all related. We need to make sure that, because these are all new evolving technologies that need new laws. Do you see? They need new laws. They need new laws, and so they all relate. These are evolving technologies, whether they're good or bad. There has to be a balance. And we need to protect our country. And the radiation, one lovely lady, she had on Rumble, she told me, she helped me out a lot. She said, look at this. She went into the city, and then she had an apparatus where she could measure the radiation. And the radiation was very above, extremely above what the normal is. And maybe, let's say maybe they didn't mean to have the radiation like this. Let's say the communities didn't. It's just they kept on adding and adding lines and so forth on everything. Let's say they didn't, okay? Okay, let's say they didn't have the radiation marked and purposely to be that high, okay? Let's give them because I don't have the facts yet, okay? But it is over the amount that should be, okay? It is over the amount that it should be. And I talked about radiation. I talked about wireless, and then I studied radiation when I first came to Texas the first time because I felt it. I felt that they were doing drones on me. And I have wounds on my body and I have holes in my clothes from biowarfare machinery. And they've been doing radiation biowarfare on me since 2019. And I have pictures. I have a history, like a report, like if I was a lawyer, and I have a report. It's all written out. It's the first edition of my report that I have had radiation and biowarfare since 2018-19, but because I am a speaker for freedom, I'm a speaker for freedom, and they don't know that my work has been used in parallel with President Trump's, because I'm the first one of the lay people that brought him on the platform for the Christian and the Catholics to understand that we need someone to help protect our country and save our country, and he was chosen. So we need to come together and realize that I bring all these things up and they all relate. The Uber driver and the vaping relates to the EMFs. They all relate. And how do they relate? Because they're new evolving substances that are contemporary. It's called postmodernity. It's called postmodernity in sociology. It's called after the modernization. So people don't know how to handle the postmodernity of contemporary life with the technological advancements in relationship to humanity. And so they all relate. You know, the foods, the way they make the foods, the medical, the food systems, the way they build the houses. Is there debris of chemicals coming off the house after you build it? Is that synthetic component cause cancerous to the people after it's put in the floor or the paint or the chair? When you touch the chair over a period of time, if it's from China, did they put some secret paint in there that's going to cause disease and cancer to the people? Just like they do with the pharmaceutical companies? Yeah, they could kick us out, but God, they can't kick God out, and they can't kick logic, and they can't kick facts. They could kick us out, but they can't kick God out, and they can't kick justice, and they can't kick facts. So that's okay, because they don't know any better, They just don't know any better. God bless them, So let's work on this, and we're going to work together. And I've been trying, but they've been putting me down. They tried to kill me in San Antonio, They did. I went into the place. They put some substance in there, and I don't know who did it. I used to have that, and I'm waiting for the Uber driver right now. And I see the man, this beautiful man, that he's a young man, okay? And he looks healthy, okay? And he has an Audi car. I used to have an Audi car. Those cars, I love those cars. They're specialties. And, the Audi cars are known to go like a pony. They could go faster like a hummingbird from one distance to the next in a shorter period of time than a thoroughbred. And that's what we need to do as America. We need to be like an Audi car. We need to go so fast to correct America in a shorter period of time than a thoroughbred, than the elite communists. That's what we need to do as Americans. We need to be like that hummingbird that could go as fast as they can in a shorter period of time and to correct and restore America than the thoroughbred of the elite communists. This is very serious. And how we're going to do that? We're going to do it by justice. We're going to do it by peace. We're going to do it by truth. We're going to do it by trusting in God. Thank you so much. God bless you. This is Lisa Lucia Arden. God bless you, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Look me up. Please support me at PayPal me, Lisa Arden, 1, www.paypal.me/LisaArden.1 or LisaArden1, or you could just look me up at LisaLeCharden.com. And I'd love to speak for an event. Thank you.